Hytale, just a week away. Hytale is in a week. I'm so happy about this information. Hytale, just a week away. Wow, can you believe it? Hytale, just in a week. It got here so fast. Do you really believe that? When some disembodied voice on the internet tells you something, do you just take it at face value? Well, that's okay, because obviously I would never lie to you. Just ignore the fact that this video, well, took longer than anticipated. Hytale is no longer just a week away. In fact, I had an entire joke that was meant to go here that no longer works because Hytale is no longer a week away. I might be bottom one. In other news, as mentioned in a post not too long ago, I have successfully joined the creator program. Does this mean I get my username? No. But it does mean that you can use code PIP at the store to support me directly. For now, my in-game name is Pip, with a Y. As in, why is this here? Obviously, I'm excited. I've been waiting for this game for longer than I've been a legal adult, but something's different about this one. And no, I don't mean how the game's super special and how I know deep down it'll be a generational hit. No, none of that sappy nonsense. This one's different because I am excited for the game itself. Don't get me wrong, but I'm almost more excited for what people are gonna do with it. Nowadays, I'd argue it's harder to find a game that isn't modded in some form or fashion than one that is. Whether it be new features, quality of life, or even just aesthetic preference that verges on self-reporting, if it's possible to modify, people have probably done it. And not only will this be true for Hytale, it's going to be one of the core experiences. The game is literally built from the ground up for user-generated content. Hell, one of the examples that a single person has made in their free time is turning the game into Vampire Survivors. Just like that. And servers can just do that. There's no need to install third-party modding launchers or download packs. It just works. It's so integrated that I almost hazard to call it modding. Point is, it's very cool, and custom content will probably be everywhere. Now, I'm sure there won't be any shortage of overhauled experiences like ye old Hytale Survivors over there, but I do expect that most people will stick to more traditional mods. The quintessential, I have an idea, and now I'm gonna add it to the game. You know, regular content stuff. Create, magic mods, you get the idea. And with so much fresh potential, you might even start to look forward to the creation of certain mods. I mean, everybody has something that they enjoy, right? But have you ever thought about the mods that you don't want to see? I mean, listen, I know I can enjoy my cake, and you can enjoy yours, but actually, no, we can't, and I won't. I hate you. I hate everything about you. I hate everything you stand for, and I won't stop until I've taken everything from you. Horror mods. This video is about horror mods. Right. You guys remember that period where Minecraft horror mods were literally everywhere? Well, I do, because they're still here, in my recommended every single week, and I don't even watch Minecraft content, and I still get them, consistently. Now, although I am small, I am still a content creator. I understand that trends are a thing that happens, but typically, I'm not all that invested. Could a society function in my block game? Well, that's a good question, but frankly, I don't care enough to know the answer. Could my block game be turned into a horror experience? Well, now you've piqued my interest. Horror games are nothing new, but how could we turn a game that normally looks like this into something truly terrifying? And I mean how in the creative sense, because frankly anything can be unsettling given the right ambience. And so, we will accomplish the goal of introducing block game horror through jump scares and one-shots. Nice. Frankly, I think most horror mods, for Minecraft specifically, are not very well implemented. And obviously, that doesn't mean all of them, but I'd argue this applies to the vast majority. Why is that? Is it because block games just shouldn't be made scary? No. Is it because some of them were probably made to chase the trend and therefore weren't made with the highest effort and passion that the creators could have otherwise provided? Maybe. But the real reason is, in my opinion, because horror mods are fundamentally flawed. Horror in video games is complicated. If you're in a dark alley in the middle of the night, there's probably a long list of things that would freak you out because you are literally there in a dark alley in the middle of the night. But a game is just that. It's a game. Aside from pure shock or jump scares, a game is usually only going to scare you as much as you let it, which is where the content of these sorts of games actually comes into play. Putting the player into an intriguing narrative, building a gripping world, and making them want to be invested enough to actually be scared. But when it comes to horror mods, there are two main roadblocks to achieving this and genuinely providing a good horror experience. The first is identity. Let's go back to that dark alley example and say that you hear a loud crack just behind you. For that split second before you turn around, you have no idea what could have possibly made that noise, which makes it a million times more scary than it otherwise would be if you had that information. I mean, it could have literally just been a trash panda doing a devious dumpster dive and coincidentally being right behind you. I mean, you just never know. Horror mods suffer from this concept because what they are is right on the tin. If I install the Dweller mod, I know that the Dweller is now in my world. I know what he looks like, and if I read through the mod page, I'll even get hints about what he does. Now, this obviously isn't every horror mod. There are some which are based more on entities that you don't learn about until you play the mod, such as the broken script. But even they partially suffer from this issue because ultimately you still know something is there. Which leads me to the second problem: immersion. As I said earlier, part of a horror game's game is about getting the player invested. You have to make them care enough to immerse themselves to truly be scared. And horror mods have a very hard time doing this. This is because they're horror mods. Even in cases that don't show everything right on the label, like the Dweller, you're still installing a horror mod and you still know exactly what you're signing up for. Which might make you wonder, okay, so how come horror games get away with it? How can they still scare players when their entire game genre is centered around doing so? Well, for starters, some of them are a little on the nose about it. Think things like DDLC, who warn you, but also kind of don't. But the main reason is because while you go into those games knowing that they're horror games, there's still an entire game and story to hook the player in. Whereas if I install a horror mod for Hytale, for example, it's still just Hytale. Sure, there are some creepy crawlies lurking in my world now, but it's still just Hytale. If I've already played the game, you're essentially going into a horror mod waiting for the horror to happen, which diminishes the experience. A horror mod intrinsically fails to capture the player because it exists as a mod for another game. So how do you fix these issues? Are horror mods just cooked? No. Actually, I think it's entirely possible to make a great horror mod for a game like Hytale. And the solution is, don't make a horror mod. Okay, that sounds really counterintuitive, but hear me out. What I mean is, instead of making a mod dedicated to trying to scare the player, make a regular mod and have hidden somewhere within some kind of aspect of horror. Let's say you have a magic mod, for example. You begin the mod, learn your magic, and progress your way to become the strongest wizard that ever was. But somewhere in the progression is a secret, a branch or path of progression that the player isn't guided to like all of the rest. And as they stumble on and begin going down that path, it awakens something that should have stayed dormant. And then you have that thing slowly terrorize the player in a similar way that horror mods try to already, albeit maybe with a little bit more subtlety. Now, obviously this is a generic example, but in my opinion, this is how you could create some truly good horror in a game like Hytale. Or, nobody is going to do that and instead just make more of the same stuff that people have already made. Or, maybe it won't be made at all. Maybe it just won't be a thing. Who knows? But Hytale is literally right around the corner, and there's already going to be mods to look forward to on day one. So I suppose my evil, wretched, hating soul can wait until said horror mods actually exist, and for now, I'll just be happy with what we're getting. But what are your thoughts on this genre of mod? And are there any mods that turned you into as much of a hater as I am? Okay, I'll be honest, I'm not actually all that much of a hater. Horror mods just genuinely disappoint me sometimes. And I just think they could be a lot cooler than they are. Well, that's kind of anticlimactic for a title, isn't it? So I can't call it that. Oh well, what can you do? Thank you for watching, and I'll see you again very soon.